sitting. And sitting up nice and tall, take your legs wide apart and just round your body over your legs and stay here for a second in this round position. We're kind of shutting down the front of the lungs. And I want you to try to encourage your breath into the back and the sides of your ribs. So as you take a big breath, inhaling through your nose and exhaling out through your mouth, pursed lips, try to expand your ribs to the sides and to the back. So you should feel like all of your ribs are kind of stretching open. You might even feel a little stretch for the back of your body, for your lower spine. Good. Just take 3 more nice full breaths, inhaling into the back and the sides of the ribs. And as you exhale, if you kind of think of hollowing out your abdomen and stretching the back of the body even more, you may feel more of what I'm talking about. And 1 more nice full breath, inhaling into the back and the side of the ribs. And then as you exhale, sit back up nice and tall, grab behind one leg and roll down onto your back. Take your feet still wide apart, reach your arms overhead and drop your knees to one side. As you drop to one side, roll all the way onto that side and put your hand down on the floor in front of you. See if you can create some opposition so you feel a little stretch through your waist perhaps, and then come back to the arms being overhead, roll to the other side. Do that a couple times. The more you reach the top leg back, the more you'll feel what I'm talking about. So we're just kind of stretching through the obliques and through your psoas. Yeah, exactly. You can, if you like, try to extend the back leg out long and reach the front hand or the top hand forward more. You might feel more of that pull. And reaching the arm and leg in opposition. 1 more time, finishing up even on both sides. And come back to laying on your back. And you're gonna bring your feet a little closer together, lift one leg up and just stir your leg in the hip socket. If you'd like to straighten one or both legs, you're welcome to do so. The leg in the air, you're trying to keep the thigh bone starting from a vertical position. So straighten it if you like. Circling your leg around, trying to stabilize everything. Reverse your direction, circling around. If you want to feel a little bit more of the core aspect of this, reach your arms up to the ceiling and don't let everything tip around. Good. And last one, and then set that leg down. Same thing on the other side, circling your leg around, trying to stabilize your pelvis. Leg can be bent or straight. Whichever leg is on the floor, try to keep that leg pushing down into the floor to connect through the back. Just warming up your hips a little bit and reverse the direction, stirring your leg around in the hip socket, circling around. And then bringing your leg back down to the ground. Your legs can be bent or straight. You're gonna nod your chin and roll up. You always can assist by grabbing the back of the leg if you need to. Reach the arms forward, half roll back, so round back, deepening your abdominal connection, and then up and over feeling. That same breath where we're trying to breathe into the back and the side of the ribs, that you're trying to stretch your lower spine open. If you tend to have tighter hips, take your legs at least as wide as the mat. If you tend to not have tight hips, you could bring your legs all the way together. It's totally up to you. And deepen your abdominals, rounding back and coming forward over the legs. Today we're going to work on a little bit of everything, of course, as usual, but we're also going to work on some rolling and build on our teasers we've been working on. And then on your next one, you're going to roll back to a place you can hold, stay there, rotate your torso open and look towards that hand, come back to the center. Rotate your ribs and come back to the center. Rotate, try not to sit up higher So you're not going forward with your chest as your arm opens. One more each side. Nice carry and rotate and then come back forward over the legs. You can stick with any of those versions we just did, or you can add, so rounding back, lift your arms up and lower your arms back in front of you. And as you lift up, think of pulling in the abdominals more and lower back. Yeah. Try not to just be in a straight back and kind of sitting on a diagonal. You're trying to get your butt curled underneath you. Yeah, nice, Tom. And look kind of forward so your neck is easy. And then come forward over the legs. Again, rounding back and lift the arms up. If you'd like to add to this, you're going to think of being on a kayak. You're going to go down into the water with your arms, which are your paddles, and then back up overhead. Sweep the arms down, up overhead. So it's a figure 8 you're making. Down, up overhead. Down, up overhead. One more each side. Rotate your rib cage. Rotate the ribs and rotate the ribs. Come forward. And we're going to repeat that one more time, rounding back. See if you can hold the position down. See if you can turn your eyes and your head to look towards your hands as they go back. Figure 8, down, up and over, down, up and over, down, up and over. One more each way. Nice. And then come back forward and sit up tall. You can either have your legs extended out straight in front of you, which is a kind of extreme position, so might not be comfortable. Feel free to sit cross-legged instead or up on something. Reach your legs out in front of you, reach your arms out to the side. Keep your pelvis still. You're gonna just rotate 3 pulses to one side and come back to the center. Get longer and taller as you rotate and center. And rotate 2, 3, and center. You're feeling like your abs are pulling you around and trying to even out the rotation so you go equally in both directions. As you do those pulses, you go to your maximum, you slightly release, and each of those pulses should feel like it takes you a little further into your maximum rotation. One more each way, rotate and center and rotate and center. Scooch a little bit forward so you have a lot of mat space behind you. Round to the back of your sit bones, hold on to your legs. You can hold on to the back of the knees, is a little easier. You could put your hands at your shins. We're gonna do rolling like a ball. So you find your balance position with your toes off the ground, or your legs can be here. And you're gonna deepen your abdominal connection. You're gonna inhale to roll back, exhale to come up. Trying to keep the shape the same. If you're struggling with rolling, feel free to do a little kick of the legs and bend the legs. Little kick of the legs and bend the legs. It'll help you to roll. Yeah, keep looking towards your pubic bone. So you're keeping that ball shape as much as you can, thinking of your abs initiating the roll back, and then they kind of work like brakes to stop you each time you come back up. Suspend the motion for a moment. Nobody's hopefully ever gonna have it be perfectly smooth through their lower back because your lower back curves in the other direction. But it should be that you're trying to work on making it a smoother roll. Last 2 times. Rolling back, pulling forward and up. Squeeze your inner thighs together if you can. Set your feet down. Either roll down or grab behind one leg to come to laying on your back. Imprint your abdominals and lift one leg up to tabletop and then lift the other leg up to meet it. Take your hands to the outside of the knees, nod your chin, flex your upper body up, single leg stretch. So one leg reaches out really long. You're trying to stretch open through the front of the hip joint. Exhale with each one. If it's bothering your neck at all, you can just take your legs higher and put your head down. You do have to feel some work in the neck in order to, be in that position. So it's not like there'll be nothing in the neck. But over time you get stronger, so then the holding of your head up becomes less in the neck and more in the abs. 4, 3, 2, finish up even. Bring the legs back to tabletop, set your head down, stir your knees around so your knees come in towards your chest and around, just circling them around, good. Either one in each direction or both going the same way. And reverse, circling the legs around. Nice. And then set your feet down on the floor in line with the pelvis, sit bones, and press nothing under your head. Press your hips up into a shoulder bridge, open across the front of your hips. So if you're tight at all, it'll feel like a stretch perhaps. Think of pushing up through the glutes, like you're trying to press your pubic bone forward more and shorten the distance between your ribs and your hips. And then flex at the hip joints and lower back down. So just pushing up, trying to open across the front of the hips. You're not trying to go for like a back bend, so you're not trying to lift the ribs further than neutral. So usually it feels like you have to kind of shorten the distance between the bottom ribs and the front of the pelvis as you come up and down. And press up. If you want to add to this, you can lift the hips up, stay there, and either lift the heel or lift the foot into a low hover off the ground, set it back down. Natalia, see if you can get your hips up higher. Yeah. And then shorten the distance between the ribs and the hips in the front of the body. Yeah, exactly. So it's all glutes working. If you want it to be a little harder, you can reach your arms up to the ceiling. You'll feel how you have to work more to keep the pelvis from tipping side to side. Yeah. And then once you're even on both sides, flex at the hips, lower back down, come up again, stay up there. If you'd like to add to this, you can lift your leg all the way up to tabletop and circle your leg around, 4 circles each direction. 2, try not to move the hips around. 3, and 4, you should be feeling that standing glute circle around the other way. 2, 3, get the hips up. 4, set your foot down, second leg lifts up and circle around. Try to press the hips up, shorten ribs to hips. And reverse. 4, 3, try not to let the leg wobble around. And setting your foot back down, flex at your hip joints and lower back down. Awesome. Imprint and lift one leg up to tabletop and then the other. Separate your knees so you're in a diamond shape and cross one leg over the other. So it's not a big movement, but I want you to deepen your imprint so much the base of your pelvis almost starts to curl off the floor, and then you return. So you're not trying to do like where you straighten your legs and kind of pike your butt up. You're trying to curl the base of your pelvis away from the floor. Depending on your proportions, this literally may not lift your pelvis off the ground. We've shortened the levers of your legs on purpose, made them so the knees are bent so you don't have as much leverage to help you. Good, switch which ankle is on top. Try not to make it so big that I see your neck and your shoulders tense up and lift off the ground. Deepen your abs. Good. Nice. And then setting your feet back down. Once you get your feet back down on the floor, line your feet up with your sits bones, and then we're going to move the feet so the one leg goes away from the midline, the other goes away from the midline, in towards the midline, in towards the midline. So out, out, in, and start to go a little faster, kind of jumping through the feet, keeping the torso really stable. Again, if you take the arms away, you'll know if you're using them too much to help you. Out, out, in, out, in. Like a sports drill when you're a kid. Try to go a little faster. Try to literally put your whole foot on the floor so you're not just touching your toes, you're pounding a little bit. Hopefully you don't have downstairs neighbors. And then pause. If you'd like to add to this, stay in neutral. Hover the weight of your pelvis off the floor, but your flesh might actually be touching the floor. That's fine. And do the same thing. So you go out, out, in, out, out, in, faster. So your butt's off the floor. Out, out, in, out, in. You can take a break, and then we're going to do one more set. Try to start with the other leg. So you hover up, out, out, in, whichever leg you didn't start with before, probably left. Should feel some work in the legs. And hopefully you're getting a little more warm. And then come back in. Awesome. So from here, you can keep your feet down for the moment. Take your hands, reach them towards your knees. You won't be able to touch them probably. And we're gonna nod the chin and flex up. And now you can touch the sides of your legs. Bend your arms like you're holding onto the brim of your hat. Reach your arms out overhead, take off your hat, and then circle your arms around. Bend your arms in, reach out, circle around. 3 more, so 5 total. Reach out, circle around. Bend in, take off your hat, circle around. Last one, bend in, take off your hat, circle around, and then lower your upper body down. Lift from your imprint, lift one leg up to tabletop and then the other. Don't go too low, but you're gonna reach your legs out to straight and then bend your legs back in. With your head down, it should feel like you have to work really hard in the abs as you reach the legs out on the diagonal to not have your lower back and your ribs pop up off the floor. Good. So then we're gonna put those 2 halves together. So reach towards your knees, nod your chin, flex your upper body up, reach your arms and legs away from each other, circle around. Reach your arms and legs away from each other and around. Beautiful. And one more after this one. Reach out, circle around, set your head down, set one leg down and then the other. Rock a little, and we're gonna do one more set of 5. Of course, you can do the prep that I taught you with the feet down if you need to. Imprint, one leg up and then the other, hands to the outside of the knees, flex your upper body up, reach your arms and legs out and circle around. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale around. And 2 more. Last one for good measure. And then bring yourself back in, set one leg down, set the other leg down, roll onto your hands and knees, hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Just rock yourself a little side to side and a little front to back. Find the centeredness between your upper and your lower body and your right and your left. Reach one arm and the opposite leg out, lift it up off the floor, tap it down and lift up. Trying to keep your pelvis level so you're balancing a tray on your back. That looks good. Try to keep your back knee straight. So we all want to lift up high. So if we don't have enough hip mobility, we'll bend the knee to try to get up there. Try to lift from your glute, not from your foot. So the leg and the arm are staying straight. You're on one side. We haven't switched sides yet. Hold the arm and leg out, stay there, and small circles of your leg behind you. If you can coordinate it, feel free to try to circle your arm too, but usually that's kind of one of those patting the head and rubbing the tummy things. And then bring that arm and leg back in. And let's switch to the other side. So you reach the other arm and leg out, level the pelvis, keep pushing the floor away, tap down and lift up. Tap down and get longer as you lift up. Feel the leg really long. Nice. As you lift up, you're thinking of lengthening through the back of your body and through your lower back. So you're not kind of crunching into your lower back to reach the arm and leg out. Yeah. Hold the leg and the arm up, circle it around. Either just the leg or the arm and the leg. Couple more. If you want to reverse, go for it, but again, the coordination is challenged here. And then bring your arm and leg back in. Sit back, push yourself back into a shell stretch. So you're pushing your belly off of your thighs and stretching into your lower back, actively engaging your abdominals, actively lengthening through the back of the body. And then we're gonna come to laying on your side. Bend your knees in front of you. Take your top arm forward. Lift your arm up, just a big rotation. We're trying to work in all planes of motion in every class. So just trying to get everything moving through any kind of stiffer or congested areas. As you exhale, see if you can sink a little further into your rotation. And then come all the way back up to the start. Take your arm under your head, or you can use blocks or pillows. Reach the top leg out long, flex your foot, turn your knee and your toe down, and big circles, keeping the pelvis level. You are pushing down with the bottom leg. Big circle, trying to reach out through the heel. Of course, at any point, if you feel like you need more resistance because you're super strong and been doing a lot of these classes, feel free to add weights to your ankles, things like that. Reverse the direction. Circling around. And just getting the back of the hip going a little bit. And then bring the legs both underneath you. Stack your shoulders, your ribs, your hips. You can use your hand on the floor in front of you or take your hand onto your leg. And then lift both legs and lower both legs, reaching out away from yourself as you lift and lower. So pulling the abdominals in, trying to stay in that balanced point on the side of your hip. Good. And try to make it smooth so it's one continuous motion versus it being up and then kind of collapse. Reaching out and reaching down. And then hold the legs up, little pulses of the legs up. Feel like that bottom inner thigh is helping to push the leg up. Three, two, and one. Lower your legs down. Bend your legs back in front of you. Take your arms back forward. One more nice big stretch, rotating the torso open. Feel like your top knee reaches forward as you rotate away from the top knee. With each exhale, trying to sink a little further. Try to keep your shoulder in the center of the joint versus you trying to get your hand to the floor. Think about trying to get the back of your rib cage to the floor. And then come all the way back up. You're gonna roll onto your stomach. Take your legs apart. Turn them out so your heels are coming towards the midline. Bring your hands near your shoulders. And just start to think of like you're pulling yourself forward with your arms and lift your upper back into a little bit of extension. Take a breath and then lengthen back down. If you feel pretty good here, you can come up a little further, coming up using the glutes to help pull you up and lengthening back down. The abdominals are working the whole time. They're lengthening and working as you go up, and then they've got to shorten again as you come back down. Yeah, whatever range feels good to you. Nice. Reaching out through the crown of the head, trying to move through the whole spine, keeping the legs turned out. And nice, everyone, good. Last one here. Lift yourself up, get longer, and then lengthen all the way back down. Push yourself up onto your hands and knees. You're gonna come down onto the back forearm. So whichever leg is closer to the camera, that's the one we were just working on the top side. So forearm and hand. So, yep, exactly. Reach the same leg we were just working, reach that one out away from you, reach it up, and now try to push the floor away. So you're rotating through the bottom hip, and then you're squaring your hips back off to the floor. The foot's more or less staying the same height off the ground, trying to rotate the pelvis to the side and rotate it back towards the floor. Yeah, that's right. rotating like you're trying to turn your hips towards the side, trying to keep the hips, the leg the same height if you can. If that's not working for you in any way, feel free to just toe tap down and up, keeping your hips square. But it looks pretty good for everybody. It should feel like that bottom hip is the one working primarily. The other one is just trying to hold its height. Push the floor away, square your hips off. Push the floor away, square your hips off. And then rotate your pelvis to the side, keep it there, flex your foot, and circling your leg here. Circling. Keep pushing the floor away with that bottom hip. And reverse, try to keep the leg nice and high. Flex your foot, it'll help you to activate the back of the leg. So your toes are pulling back towards your nose, yeah. And then you're gonna come up onto your back hand and turn everything to face the side. So your knee is under your hip, your shoulder is over your hand. Stay there, reach the top arm up to the ceiling. And then just thread the needle under, rounding your upper back, trying to keep from sitting back towards your heels. And then open back up to the side. If you wanna open to the ceiling, you can as well. Just do that a couple times, thread the needle, stretch the back of the spine open, and lift the chest, open the chest to the ceiling. Once more. And then bring your hand either to the back of the head or your forehead, lift your top leg up, flex your foot, 2 kicks forward, forward, sweep your leg back. If you wanna do this laying on your side, you're welcome to. And forward. Yeah, I think that looks good. Carrie and Alex better. It's nice up here if you can manage it because you get a little more opening through the front of your hip while your torso is still trying to stay still. Last 2. Good, try to get your leg up high so it's not down here. And bring yourself back down. Good, and then we're gonna lay on the other side. You can start with your knees bent. Top arm is reaching forward. Reach your top arm forward, rotate your torso open. Take a couple breaths here, trying to sink a little further into rotation. And then use your abdominals to come all the way back to the start position. Bring your arm under your head in a comfortable way. Reach that top leg out, flex your top foot, pull your toes back towards your nose, turn your knee and your toe down, big circles. It's a circle kind of day. Yeah. As you're circling your leg, push down with the bottom leg so that you're not letting the knee kind of pop up, keeping that stable. And reverse your direction. Keep connecting through your abs, that looks good. Yeah, try to make it even in all direction, and higher is gonna be harder for the hip. Nice. And then you can sneak both legs underneath you and reach out through both legs, lifting both legs and lowering both legs. Use your hand on the floor to help you a little bit, or take it away to make it a little harder. Nice. Reaching out through the legs. I know this is really picky, but there's something about if your hand is kind of by your face that it changes the work and it's easier to cheat. But if you bring your hand closer to your, like in front of your belly button, it's less likely you're cheating by using your hand and you're just using it as like a little bit of a helper to balance, like a kickstand. Hold the legs up and do a little pulse of the legs up up, up. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we'll bend the legs back in. Take your top arm forward, lift your arm up again, rotate towards your ribs coming towards the floor behind you. Each exhale, see if you can sink a little further into that rotation. So it's a very active position. You're not just kind of splat there. And then come all the way back, and you're going to roll onto your stomach. Slightly different than what we did before. So you could do exactly what we did earlier. Legs turned out, connect your glutes, heels towards the midline, pull yourself forward and come up into extension. Either go back down like we just did, or try to tip the shape a little by lifting the back of the thighs and then lifting the back of the head. Like you're the bottom of a rocking chair and you're trying to keep that shape the whole time. So thinking of reaching the legs out, it's tempting to just drop your face. That doesn't work. Yeah, that's right, Alex. Yeah, awesome. So like you're trying to lift the back of your thighs to rock it forward. Beautiful, Anne. Yeah, Tom, just lift your head up higher. Yep. Your head will help you because it's heavy, so it'll kind of help you to make that rock. Lower all the way back down, shake it out for 2 seconds and repeat again. Reaching out through the crown of the head, lift yourself up into your extension. Feel like the legs reach out and up, and then your head lifts up and back. Your legs lift away from the floor. Good. So it's less of an arm push-up kind of thing and more of a tipping, rocking the shape one way and then the other. Some of you are really good at this. Yeah. And then lower all the way back down. It should feel like it's one of the hardest glute exercises I've had you do, if you're doing it correctly. So then come up onto your hands and knees. The back arm is on the forearm. The front one is on the hand. Reach your leg out, lift it up however high you can. Rotate the pelvis to the side. Rotate the hips back to the floor. Rotate the pelvis. Keep your leg up, Natalia. Yeah, so you're using that back hip glute to keep the leg up as high as you can while you push the floor away and rotate the hips to the side. Yeah, exactly. And so part of it is you're rotating the leg in the hip socket, but most of it is you're literally pushing the floor away and using that bottom hip to rotate the whole pelvis. Good. Should feel like the bottom hip is working just as much as the top one. Rotate your pelvis as much as you can to the side. Flex your foot in big circles here. Pelvis is facing the side if you can. If you need to lay down, you're welcome to at any point. Lift your leg up a little higher, leaks. Yes, get that glute working. And reverse the direction of your circles. Trying to not wiggle around. Good. And then you're gonna let that leg go down, come all the way up. You have to rotate your leg a little so your foot points more back. Come up onto your bottom hand, shoulder over wrist, hip over knee. Reach the top arm up to the ceiling. Thread under, look towards the back. Lift back up to the ceiling. You can rotate a little to the ceiling if you like. And do that a couple times, rounding under. Opening to the side, looking towards the ceiling. One more time, however it feels good to you. And then you'll square everything off to the side. Lift your top leg up. If you need to lay down, feel free. 2 kicks forward, 1 reach back. Oh, sorry, hand at the back of the head or the forehead. You can keep it reaching up if you want. I actually think it's a little easier if you reach up because it gives you something to strive for, like you're trying to touch the ceiling. Get your leg up to hip height. Yeah, that's better. Nice, Michelle. 3, 2, and last one. And then bring your leg back down, sit back into a little shell stretch, stretch through your lower back. And then we're gonna sit on the mat again. Like I said, we're working on a little rolling. If you don't have anything padding, this isn't gonna feel good to do much rolling. So put more blankets, padding, towels, whatever you need. Yoga mat is usually too thin. So you're gonna round to the back of your sits bones again and stay there. Don't face me, I'm just facing you. So you're gonna take one hand underneath your shin and then the other hand underneath your shin. So your knees are apart and your feet are together. It's a funny position. Yeah. It won't work if you hug around the outside like this. You got to go inside your legs. Yeah. If you had shoulders that were too tight, sure, you can hold around the outside, but that looks good, Carrie. Yeah. Okay, so now it's like rolling like a ball. You're going to be looking at your pubic bone. You're going to roll back and roll back up. It's a little harder because your legs are apart. And then we're going to add to this. So try not to get so much momentum that when you come back up, your feet touch the ground and crash. You're trying to use your abs like brakes. You're in the round shape the whole time. This is called seal. So you're going to clap your feet together once, then roll back, suspend the motion, clap once, roll up, clap once. Don't set your head on the floor. Your hair can touch, but not your head. So it's hard because you're trying to control and slow it down so that you're not clapping the whole time. Of course, you don't have to add the claps if you don't want. If you want to add 2 claps, go for it. 2 claps. You have to suspend a little longer. Clap, clap. You can even add 3 claps if you want. Definitely harder as you clap more because you have to suspend and not tip all the way over. One more set. And then set your legs down. Good. Bring your legs together. Keep your hands on your knees. It'll help you. Squeeze your legs together like there's a $100 bill between your knees. You're trying to not drop. Round down a little bit so you're behind your sit bones. And then take your eyes and lift your chest so you're looking up on the high diagonal and trying to lengthen the curves of the upper back. Yeah, so it's kind of like a J shape. Your pelvis is curled under and your upper spine is lengthened. This is your teaser spine. So then from there, you're going to round and roll all the way down. Reach the arms overhead. Reach the arms forward towards the legs. Roll up to that same spot just behind the sits bones. Lift the arms and lift the eyes into that teaser shape. If you come all the way up, it's super easy. You should be able to lift your feet off the ground and hold them off the ground for a split second. If you can't, then you've come too far forward and you're sort of cheating. You're finding ways to make it easier. Reach the arms back overhead as you roll back down. So the arms come forward, you roll up to back of the sits bones, you lift the eyes, you lift the focus, and then you roll back down through the spine. And again, reaching the arms forward, peel up to just back of the sits bones, lift the arms, lift the eyes, and roll back down. If that's going well, you could extend one leg towards straight, squeezing the knees together still. And lift the arms and the eyes and roll back down. If you're doing one leg, let's do 4 times. Switching, reaching, lift the eyes, lift the focus, roll back down. What's hard about these preps is if you cheat and sit all the way up, which is super tempting to do since your feet are on the ground, you're not going to really be building your mobility and your strength to do the full teaser. So you got to make sure you don't sit all the way up. Yeah. One more time. And then coming all the way back down. Awesome. Take your arms down by your sides. Connect your abdominals and lift your legs up to tabletop. Extend your feet a little bit away from your pelvis and let your pelvis rotate a little bit one way and the other. Turn and look in the opposite direction. So as you rotate, you're pulling back on your abdominals. Only make it as big as it feels good to your body, creating opposition. So it's like that wringing out a towel feeling. Rotate and rotate. Yeah, squeeze your legs all the way together. Good. And then come back to the center. Set your legs down, grab behind one leg or roll up and come over to your hands and knees. Hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. Tuck your toes under. Leg pull front prep. So you're gonna start by making sure you're not sinking between your shoulders. So you're pushing the floor away and then hover your knees off the ground as low as possible. You can either set the knees down right away or you can try to hold that hover for a little longer. Trying to not exaggerate the curves of the upper or the lower back. You're trying to stay in that one long line the whole time. Yeah, exactly. Hover up and set it back down. Twice more like this. And then set your knees down. Push yourself back into a little shell stretch. We're going to add to that. No one has to add to that. So you're going to hover the knees up. You're going to try to turn your knees a little bit towards one side. Come back to the center. Turn your knees and your pelvis. You'll feel your shoulders working quite a bit. Rotate the knees to one side. Center. Rotate the knees to one side. One more each way. Rotate. And rotate. And set the knees down. Sit back into your little stretch. One more time like that. Long through the spine, hover up. Keep the knees very low as you rotate. And rotate. You might have to step your feet a little bit to be able to keep them in the middle. Last one. Set your knees down and turn to face the front. Cool. So bring your hand somewhere between your knee and your hip, so it's not in line with either. It's kind of in the middle. Top foot is in front of the back ankle, and the other hand is on top of your leg. If you're too stretched out, it's going to be weird, and if you're too small, it's going to be weird. It's got to be kind of comfortable distance. So push the floor away with that bottom arm and side bend. It shouldn't feel like that bottom arm is really far behind you when you're up there, like it's pulling you backwards. So if you need to adjust it a little, feel free. So find this little shift. You're shoving your ribs into that side bend. Balancing on the bottom knee. The top knee, don't collapse it, point it up to the ceiling as much as you can. So as you come up, your knee isn't dropping forward. Yeah. Some of you want to add to this and have been working on the full version of this exercise. Either keep doing what you're doing, or you're going to push into your side bend and try to squeeze your legs all the way together and up and then lower down. Your choice. You're not allowed to slide your leg out from underneath you. It's cheating. You're trying to make it a big side bend and push the floor away. If you're doing the full version, your hand will be more in line with the feet. And push yourself into the side bend. Zipper your inner thighs together to get up. And one more time of whatever you're doing. And let's see it, Natalia. Come all the way up. Yeah, try to push your right hip forward, Natalia. So your hips are square to the front instead of open to the ceiling. Yeah, and then swing your legs around to the other side. So if you got wrist stuff going on, probably you're not doing the full. You're thinking about just going up into this half position. So you put lots of weight into your legs and pushing yourself up. That's good. Chandra, just point your left knee up to the ceiling more. Like, because if it drops forward, it gets kind of weird. Keep it up. So you're trying to keep that diamond shape with your legs as you come up onto the bottom knee. Push down into your bottom knee a lot. There we go. Yeah, good, Alix. If you did the full version, feel free to give that a try on this side as well. Big stretch up and over. So try to get a little bit more of that side bend going by connecting a shoulder into the waist to go up and over versus just trying to come up onto your arm. It doesn't really work. You've got a side bend. Push. Yeah, that was better, Carrie King. And then lower all the way back down. Awesome. Sit down on the floor. I mean, of course on the floor. Sit down on your butt. Round to the back of your sit bones. Take your hands behind your knees and lift your shins up. We're in that teaser kind of position again, to the back of the sits bones, round through the lower back and lift your eyes up so you're looking up on the high diagonal. You're gonna round the spine, do a little kick of the legs back, and then balance at the top and stop the motion. Take the eyes up the wall. Yeah, so look down at your pubic bone as you start to roll back, and then look up the wall as you come back up. Yeah, if that's not working for you, you can definitely keep your feet down and round back and sit back up and round back and sit back up. Yeah, if anyone wants to do the full open leg rocker, you could extend your leg up on the high diagonal. Yeah, that's great, Natalia. Yeah, exactly. And then same thing, inhale back, exhale up. If you want to make it even harder than holding your ankles, hold on to your toes. Probably none of us need to do that. Maybe Natalia, you can go for it. Yeah, exactly. And what ends up happening is like a lot of momentum. So control the momentum. Yeah, either here or here. One more time. Find your balance at the top. Awesome. Good job. This is getting better. And then come onto your hands and knees again. Back your knees up. So you're in as much of a kneeling plank as you're comfortable with. Yeah, and if you've got wrist hand stuff going on, you could come down onto your forearms, but it would work better if you had a bunch of books or something to put under your forearms so that your hips and your shoulders were a little more in line with each other. So from here, if you want to stay in this position, just stay. You can also push your legs all the way out to straight to a full plank. We're going to bend the elbows, go down, further, press up in one count. Down, further, press up. Down, further, press up, and then sit back towards your heels and round your spine into your shell stretch. So 3 sets of 3. And then come back forward, either kneeling plank or full plank. Connect your abs. Down, further, press up. Down, further. Awesome, everyone. Yeah, Natalia, see if you can keep yourself neutral so you don't have to sink your pelvis forward to get back up. You're strong, you can do that. And one last set, you're going to point your elbows more back towards your, along your side, so your elbows aren't going out to the side at all. They're going straight back. Down, so more triceps. And up, down, further, up. Last set. Awesome, Tom. And then sit back, take your weight to your feet, walk yourself back onto your feet, roll your spine up to standing, find your balance in a standing position, nod your chin. You're gonna walk your hands out about halfway, so not all the way to a plank. Walk your hands out just enough that your hips can stay high, like downward dog. Your heels, I don't care if they're down or not. Release one hand and reach it underneath you and back towards the side. So you're kind of threading under, reach, and back, and reach, and back to the floor. Reach under yourself. Yeah. I mean, you can do this if you're on your hands and knees. It's a slightly different feeling, but if it's too much, go down onto the knees. Yeah, that's right. And then you're gonna walk your hands back towards your feet, find your weight over your feet, and roll back up from the back of the legs all the way back up to standing. We're gonna do one more set of those. Any way you need to slice it here. So roll down. This time walk all the way out to a plank. Try to articulate from tail to head. Then you're gonna lift your hips as you thread your arm under. Bring your hips back forward to your plank. Lift your hips, try to curl the upper body under. So you're leading with your head, rounding under. Awesome. And rounding under. A lot of push through that standing arm. One more each side. Push, use your abs to curl yourself. Good, Chandra. And then bringing yourself back towards your feet. Bend your knees a little bit. Feel your weight over your feet. Let your head hang a second. You can shake it. Yes, no. Back of the pelvis draws down. You're going to roll up to standing. One more thing to do. We're going to roll back down again. All the way down. Walk your hands out into your plank. Find your plank. Hold your plank for a moment here. Nice and long through your spine. If you need to set your knees down, do. We've been working on our endurance here for our planks. And then set your knees down and roll over onto your back. Imprint. Lift one leg up to tabletop and then the other. Extend your legs straight towards the ceiling. Take your hands towards the outside of the knees. Nod your chin, flex your upper body up, and go into your scissors. Pulse, pulse, switch, pulse, pulse. If anyone wants to add to this, bring your hands behind your head, rotate towards the leg that's coming to you. Nice. Rotate towards the leg that's coming towards you, or stay in the center and keep your arms reaching down your legs. 4 more. And then bring your legs back into tabletop. Set your head down. Cross one ankle over the opposite knee. Take your hands wide on the floor. And just let that whole shape tip a little side to side. One foot is staying down on the floor. Rotate and rotate, kind of bouncy quality. So it's not held and controlled. It's really playful. Bounce one way and the other, and one way and the other. There we go. Seeing more bounciness. And then cross that knee all the way over the other knee. So now your knees are tight together. Same thing. Knees tight together. Bouncy, swingy, playful. And then come back to the center. Switch which ankle is crossed over the knee. Rotate and rotate and rotate. Yes, try not to make it too perfect and stiff. I'm trying to get that kind of elasticity going in your body. Of course, in everything, but even more so in something like this. And then cross knee to knee. Little bounce one way and the other. Obviously, you can go only as far as it feels good to your body, but try to find that opposition of the arms reaching. Good. Set your legs down, grab behind one leg, come all the way back up to sitting. We're gonna start end where we started. So legs wide, sit up really tall, inhale, and then exhale to flex over your legs. kind of shortening, wrinkling up the front of your shirt, stretching out the back of your shirt. As you stay here, try to stretch the back of your shirt out even more as you take a few breaths, inhaling, expanding the ribs like a billows or like an accordion, opening and closing. And then you're going to stack all the way back up to sitting. And good job. You guys are all done. Hopefully you feel pretty good.